Respected teachers, colleagues, friends, and my students, and all ASMICans, a very good evening. Good evening to one and all. It gives me real pleasure to introduce the first session of this year's program. I hope this will continue and we'll have a lot of interactive sessions. The speaker for today is our respected Babu Matthew sir. I don't think sir needs an introduction as such. He was probably the father of oral medicine in Kerala. I think he's the first life member in IAOMAR also. I'm not taking much of the time. I'll invite Dr. Babu Matthew sir for his talk. For those of you who have not heard him, it's a real pleasure to listen to his talk. It's very informative. Sir, I invite you to take over the Babu Matthew sir.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Anita. A very prolific introduction. And before I start the talk, I take the opportunity to thank the organizers of ASMIC, especially Dr. Tatu Joy, for starting a webinar series and for having invited me to give the first webinar. I dedicate this webinar to Dr. Shoaib Sheikh, the president-elect of IAOMR. And Anita, you remember that he was the able conference secretary in the last IOMR annual conference at Amritsar. He left us to the heavenly abode a couple of months back. This is Dr. Sheikh. This photo is 3 years old. And he was very active, and IAOMR misses him very badly in our organizational activities. Well, Tatu has asked me to speak on oral medicine, past, present, and future. Since our specialty is called oral medicine and radiology, I have tried to include radiology also. I would like to modify that radiology to imageology, because other than X-ray, we use several other media for imaging, like the ultrasound, like the nucleotide, like the magnetic resonance. So, in fact, the specialty should be now called as oral medicine and imageology. I will start with the history of dentistry in ancient India. This is a problem of inviting older people to give a talk. Dentistry was held to be of divine origin in India, believed to have a tradition dating from 5000 BC. The Ashwins, twin sons of sun god, imparted their medical knowledge to Indra. Indra handed down the science of life to Dhanvantari, and Dhanvantari passed the knowledge to two of his famous disciples, Sushruta and Charaka. Most knowledge of early dental treatment comes from Sushruta Samhita and Charaka Samhita. Sushruta wrote mainly on surgery and the equipments used for surgery and methods of surgery, whereas Charaka gave medical management of diseases and, for that matter, oral diseases. Charaka had described a disease called Vidari, which is very much similar to oral submucous fibrosis. He wrote that Vidari can be treated with Cherkuru Kashayam. Cherkuru is the marking nut. Charaka has given many prescriptions of different mouthwashes for symptoms like bleeding gums, halitosis, and oral ulcerations. Hippocrates described in his book On Disease of Women an Indian prescription made by Charaka, and this prescription was prepared by pounding together anise, dill, and mira in white wine for treating halitosis in pregnant women. Vagbada, who lived in 600 AD, in his famous work Ashtanga Hridaya, is an elaborate work extending up to 7,800 verses, gives details of Thambula Charvana. He mentions that Thambula Charvanam increases the appetite, promotes digestion, and relieves halitosis. When you look at the ingredients of tambula, there is talir vetila, kali adakya, camphor, copra, clove, nutmeg, cardamom. And remember, note that tobacco is not there. Actually, the old tambula charona is now shifted to either the conventional chewing or the chewing of pan masalas, which is the principal cause for an increased incidence of oral cancer in the subcontinent. Tobacco was added by Narahari, an Ayurveda physician who lived in the court of Akbar. There were no advancement in the field of dentistry after the first millennium. The Islamic invasion resulted in introduction of Siddha Vaidya. Siddha Vaidya mentions that the periodontal inflammation can be reduced by packing the periodontal pocket with plant alkaloids and astringents. An anecdote, when I was in Bangalore, there was a Siddha Vaidya who wanted to do a case control study, and Dr. Venkatraman made me the observer of how he does the work. So I had the privilege of observing a Siddha Vaidyan coming with his personal instruments and packing in the bleeding, granulating gingival pockets and periodontal pockets. And I should say that it was effective. Yes. Modern dentistry in India, we all know that it started in the beginning of the 20th century. And before that, dentistry was only a trade than a science. In 1920, Padma Bhushan Dr. Rafuddin Ahmed started the first dental college in India in Calcutta, exactly 100 years back. The postgraduate course in dental radiology was started in 1959 at the Bombay University in the NHDC Dental College, Nair Hospital Dental College. And Dr. Girish Marchand and Shivatkar were the first batch students. And their PG teacher, surprisingly, was a general radiologist. Dental radiology was taught along with the conservative in the undergraduate course. Dental Council felt that after a few years, that the scope of dental radiology MDs should be widened. So it was amalgamated with a clinical subject taught along with periodontics in undergraduate, and the new specialty of oral medicine and radiology was thus formed. The MDS course in oral medicine and radiology was started in Bangalore under Dr. B.K. Venkatraman in GDC Bangalore in 1970, and soon after in Ahmedabad under Dr. N.T. Desai. Dr. Venkatraman is considered as the father of modern oral medicine and radiology in India. I give my pranam to my esteemed guru and mentor, Dr. Venkatraman. He passed away 2 years back on the Teacher's Day, very befitting day to die for a great teacher. The strange combination of oral medicine and radiology is only seen in India as a subject for PG study. Because if you go to US or UK or into any of the European countries, or if you take the professional associations, you find that oral medicine is separate and dental radiology is separate. But here we have got a very strange amalgamation. The oral medicine in the last 70 years, we will see what was happening. From the beginning of the Trivandrum Dental College in 1959, oral medicine was not a separate subject of examination till 1977 in the University of Kerala. Oral medicine was included in periodontics when I was a student and radiology in conservative dentistry. In the last century, the training of oral medicine was more or less similar to the training offered in general medicine. A format of the case sheet was given to students, mainly in the clinic, in which they wrote down descriptively presenting complaints, history of presenting complaints, medical history, dental history, family history, etc., etc. Physical examination followed. Inspection, palpation, auscultation, percussion, and the findings were described by individual on their own style. I even now remember very vividly the sound that makes when Dr. K.V.K. Krishnadas K.V.K. Das, my esteemed professor of medicine, percusses the chest of a patient. This is 50 years, 60 years back, but now I don't see people percussing that hard. Okay. A provisional diagnosis was obtained and 3 or couple of differential diagnoses were offered. That was the routine. And the patients were sent for investigations. The investigations were in the primitive stage. I should say that when I was a student, we had the differential count made using the blood counter, and also all the hematological examinations, biochemical examinations done in a laboratory by heating, vaporizing, and whatnot. The automated machines were not in existence at that time in Trivandrum. And the results were corroborated and we derive at a final diagnosis. The treatment vary. The treatment is divided into 3: specific treatment, symptomatic treatment, and supportive treatment were advised, and the patients called for follow-up depending upon the merit of the case. Even now, most of the dental colleges where I have worked nearly in a dozen colleges, this system is being used in training oral medicine undergraduates and postgraduates. The PGs are expected to be posted in departments of ENT, dermatology, radiology, oncology, etc., as per the Dental Council of India syllabus. How many students are getting a chance to have a reasonable exposure in these departments? I don't know. In Trivandrum, it is unique because we have all the institutions within a campus and within near reach. Whereas some of the dental colleges which are in the villages, especially in some of the North Indian states, the PGs are not getting enough exposure in the various departments where they are expected to work. 14 days after Ronjan, now I'll come to the history of dental radiology. 2 weeks after Ronjan's first publication of his thesis on December 28, 1895, Wakhoff captured the first dental radiograph of his own teeth. And the exposure time was nothing short of 20 minutes. And that's why many of the pioneers in dental radiology died of complications of overexposure. OPGs were introduced in the later half of the last century, and CBCT was introduced in Europe in 1996. And in USA, CBCTs were marketed in 2001. Until the turn of the century, students were taking intraoral periapical films and occlusal films only, BDA students. Though dental X-ray machines could be used to take extraoral radiographs like AP view or lateral view of the skull or lateral oblique view of jaws, or even they could be used for taking xylograms. I remember that we have done even a parotid xylogram using a Philips Oralix in dental X-ray machine in the dental college in 1970s in the initiate period of the oral medicine department. Films were manually processed and were never archived properly. Now, at least the PGs are expected to take, process, read, and read IOP, bite wing, occlusal films, OPG, and CBCT. The introduction of phosphor plates or radiovisiography has reduced the labor of imaging, and the images are now compulsorily stored in computers. The application of telemedicine and the use of apps to offer specific diagnoses are available, but I don't think many dental colleges are using the facility of telemedicine. Now, ultrasound in training and in scanning is offered to PGs in many of the dental colleges, and it is not given, training is not given to undergraduates. And including the Trivandrum Government Dental College, there are several colleges where they have ultrasound scanners, even with apps like Color Doppler. Very few colleges has availability or accessibility to nucleotide imaging, Gamma cameras are very expensive, and there are a lot of restrictions for establishing a nucleotide imaging laboratory. PGs are posted to familiarize MRI, CT, PET, and PET CTs in some colleges only. Generally, there is gross inequality in the training, I'm sorry for the spelling mistake, offered by different colleges. Now I'll add 2 sentences about dental research. The National Institute of Dental Research was established in 1948 in US under the Public Health Service. The principal areas of research in those days were dental caries. Oral medicine oriented, mainly epidemiologic research in India was started by Marshall Day and K.L. Shorey on oral lesions in malnourished people. Our famous director, Dr. Rompi Gupta in 1961 and D.C. Miglani in 1963 have published data on the prevalence of caries and periodontal disease. Pinborg and his associates from 63 to 73 has worked on oral cancer and pre-cancer. And Amit Tiwari, Dr. Gnanasundaram, etc. have worked on dental fluorosis. Now, I have been telling what is happening now, and this is just a historical and present day appraisal of what is happening now. Now let us see what advances are in the offing for us in oral medicine and radiology. Technological advancement and computing power are very important in the modern era in developing any science. The computing power of a device, including human brain, is the capacity to run multiple instructions and generate an outcome that is required. Example, see a lesion, understand its characteristics, compare its differential diagnosis, evaluate the additional data from tests, and conclude in a diagnosis, which will be more accurate than a human brain without assistance. Current computers can exceed the human capacity to do this more accurately. The speed at which computational capacity is increasing and the reliability and dependence of human decisions being made by artificial intelligence is sure to change the training and the principles of oral diagnosis. Now, natural language processing, this is also an area in computation where I don't have much of an expertise, but still, smart algorithms with natural language processing are being groomed to recognize doctors' questions and patients' answers, the exact key points, and put the information into electronic health records. I am only used to Alexa following my instructions. Doing this, so it might save the doctor's time considerably and possibly reduce the burnout and giving doctors more time with the patients. Three-dimensional imaging computer, the exact extent of accuracy of human vision can exceed by the use of augmented or virtual reality that is possible with the new imaging software and recreated in real time. Now, nanorobotics is a very novel area in medical practice. Doctors could treat everything from heart disease to cancer using tiny robots in the size of bacteria, a scale much smaller than today's robots. Simultaneous nanorobots might work alone or in teams to eradicate disease and treat other conditions. Doctors would implant robots able to patrol a human body, reacting to any problems that prop up. Unlike acute treatment, these robots would stay in the patient's body forever. Another potential future application of nanorobot technology is to re-engineer our bodies to become resistant to disease. And in the COVID days, this is very important. increase our strength, or even improve our intelligence. Molecular biological interactions, all changes that occur can be identified as change in biological interactions at a molecular level. Identifying these and altering them can change the game plan in disease identification and management. Genomics, all of you are familiar with the Genome Project. And genomics is the study of all the person's genes, including interactions of these genes with each other and with the person's environment. With the computational technology increasing, we can now only understand the genome, but also modify to cause a change. Integrated alternate medicine. This is also a very hot point of discussion because people, specialists, experts in other systems of medicine are having tall claims against controlling COVID, and the modern medicine people were opposing that. But this situation cannot last indefinitely longer. Energy interactions at molecular levels, as the energy reaches the biological interface, one of 4 interactions will occur, either reflection, transmission, scattering, or absorption. Modulating these interactions will suppress or increase the response of biologic system to change that artificial health, disease, and healing. Acupuncture, Ayurveda, homeopathy, Siddha, and other systems of medicine which did not have any acceptable scientific evidence or documentation in the past. But now the biotechnology courses in almost all universities in India, they are able to measure the newer methods, using newer methods more scientifically in a molecular level, the effect of the treatment of these other systems of medicine. So the oral medicine specialist can join hands with them. We had, when I was in RCC, several projects with the Ayurveda people. We had a clinical trial on a mouthwash to reduce the complications of radiation. And then Dr. Gigi has done a study on oral pre-malignant lesions using curcumin, and Dr. Anita also was part of the team, I remember clearly. And so many Ayurvedic products are now being tested scientifically, and it offers a lot of scope because India is having a very vast fauna and flora, and Ayurveda books have helped us to identify medicinal plants, and the effect of these plants can be scientifically studied. Most of the biotechnology students pass out are engaged in evaluating, and the medical companies hire them in a very good salary. The basic forms of energy in the environment like light, heat, sound, and magnetism and ionizing radiations all affect all biological systems. And this effect is mostly studied in lower animals. For example, the effect that an ultrasound or an infrasound makes in smaller animals, in worms, in bacteria, are studied. And in the higher animals also, there's a lot of scope, because you know the effect of visible light is different from infrared light or from ultraviolet light, and ionizing radiation is in the other end of the spectrum. So all the environmental energy variations, like in electromagnetic spectrum or in sound, have an effect in the human body. And these energies affect molecular changes of the body, and they cause physical changes in the body, the details of which are to be studied in detail. Noetic science is a very interesting field, especially for all the people like me. Noetic science is how beliefs, thoughts, and interactions and consciences affect the physical world. In Atharva Veda, there are a lot of mantras and tantras based on the noetic science and the actions of the Atharvi by conducting spells help in a large way to, used to help in a large way to heal some of the diseases. If you think about a thing, it can cause a physical change in the world around you. And this is a new area and vast area, mostly uncharted. And I don't know how much time I have taken. Let me check. Yeah, I have taken only half an hour to talk to you, but I am happy to share my views and how we all had to struggle in the initial stage to come up and to bring this speciality into the limelight as it is enjoying today. If I am asked to give a take-home message, a very common complaint from a young specialist is that they are not getting acceptance from the medical fraternity. I've heard it not from one or two, from several youngsters. They say that you are all very lucky, you got chance, you grabbed it and you worked on it, and now we don't get that sort of a chance. But I tell you, the solution is that you cannot demand acceptance, you have to command it. And if you take my life, which spans for nearly 60 years in dentistry, there were several examples where I had to grab the opportunity and make use of it so that I was accepted in the dental college as well as in the medical campus. Thank you for the patient listening. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.